Demetrius. I am your host for the Facts and Fatherhood podcast. And I am so glad to be back with you again for this another great episode of Facts and Fatherhood. You know, I always tell you that my goal is to help you love being a father the way that I love being a father. Guess what? We can do this job from a place of love. And you know what? I love being a father because I love the people that I happen to be the father to. I love my family, my wife and children. I love the responsibility and the role that I have, and I want you to love it like I do. I wish I could just pour it in there, but I can't. Maybe just through inspiration, maybe through motivation, some way, shape, form, or fashion. You keep on sticking with us. There is no way that you're not going to love being a father at least almost as much as I love being a father. I'm just playing. Anyway, I need you to do something for me. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to my channel. We're on YouTube, we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're all over the place. I need you to go on, like, share, and subscribe to the Facts and Fatherhood podcast. You know, we try our best to bring you some great content. We have been so busy doing so many different things with our school district and just all over the place. It's been a whole lot of fun this summer, though the children are getting ready to go back to school and all the things. And so we wish you much success there, okay? All right, but I want to make sure, y'all, that you know, that you are aware. Do not forget, very, very soon, you are going to be able to get your hands on this wonderful little tool right here. It is called Like Arrows in My Hand. I want you to be paying attention. Be looking for that release date for this book that is coming forth. I believe it's going to be something that's phenomenal, that's really, really going to help you in your job. I mean, it's written to parents, but specifically zeroes in on fatherhood. And so I'm hoping that I know very soon you'll be able to get your hands on this little tool right here, okay? So be sure that you be on the lookout. The release date is forthcoming. Now, I need you to also make sure that you go over to the website. Yeah, the website. You can see it down at the bottom of your screen. Go to the website. I need you to get some of this Facts and Fatherhood merchandise. As a matter of fact, you can actually scan that little QR code right there on the screen and it'll take you right where you need to go. All right, go over there. What are you going to go over there for? Well, we got a couple of things that are over there. One of the things that we have are these wonderful little hoodies. I know it's not cool yet, but it's going to be cool very soon. This is something that we did as a means of dedication to my departed father. He left us in 2019. And one of the things he used to always say, this is one of his phrases and statements that he used to make. So I decided I'm going to build a little clothing line, a brand around some of the statements that my dad used to make. And he used to always say, boy, girl, or man, don't let the devil fool you. So I want you to go over there and grab that, get your hands on that. You can actually also go over there and grab you one of these target practice journals where you can kind of record your journey as a father. Maybe you want to be able to look back on some things, or maybe you just want to kind of practice and build from day to day to try to help you be better and to try to help you grow as a father. That's going to be a really, really good tool to help you have some success. So go over there, some great stuff for you to see. There's some caps and some all tees and all those kind of different things like that we have available over there. And so I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to take advantage of that particular thing. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to do this real quick because I want to make sure, as I told you, I honor and appreciate the memory and the legacy of my dear dad. And so I wanted to take a moment, as I do on several of my podcasts. I wanted to take a moment just as a memory of him. He was such a great guy. And so just humor me for just a moment. And I want to make sure that we do this on the behalf of my dearly beloved father. All right? Stay tuned.
Would you know my name?
Opportunity to be able to do that on the behalf of my old dad. Definitely do miss him, but he's still with us in so many different ways. And so I want to just acknowledge him today, my dear dad. All right. Well, that being said, I want you to do me a favor, and I want you guys to welcome to Facts and Fatherhood podcast my guest in the person of Mr. Paul Moore. Man, how's it going today, man?
Oh, we're doing great. How about yourself, Demetrius?
Oh, I can't hear you.
I said, I'm doing great. How
Got
are
you.
you
I
doing
got you. I
today?
can hear you. There we go. I'm doing superb. I'm doing superb. Been a very, very busy day, very, very busy time, but I love every bit of it.
Busy's good. I think I prefer busy over bored.
I'm trying to tell you, okay? All right, there's a lot to be done, a lot can be done, and somebody's got to do it. Is that right?
Absolutely. Nothing to it but to do it. That's what I
Well,
always like to
y'all,
tell
my
my friends.
guest, yes, sir. My guest, Mr. Paul Moore here, he is the founder. He's going to tell you about it. Very, very cool. He's the founder, okay, of a children's brand called Smiley Mia. He's going to tell you about how that all came about and how that all happened. But as y'all know, we've been trying to emphasize and we've been trying to focus on the different aspects of fatherhood. And in my last couple of guests that I've had, he's one of the guests that we have who can talk to us about the reality of the trials and triumphs of single fatherhood. And he did something very, very special. And he took that particular situation that he had, that particular circumstance, and did something positive with it. And man, I cannot wait for you all to hear this story. All right. So tell us a little bit more about you, where you are, and all the things, Paul.
Well, great. Thanks again for having me. Like he mentioned, I discovered this little teether that just kind of changed the way babies go through the teething process. I was over in China for work. We make computer cables, and the process we use is called injection mold. And that's the same process I use when I make my teethers. It's where you have a mold of something and you inject the material in to take that shape. So I had a lot of knowledge in this industry. So when it was time to make this product, I already knew kind of an idea of where to start. A lot of hurdles I overcame before I even started that maybe another new person trying an idea would have to overcome. So I really had a lot in my advantage from the get-go. But I just, I saw for so many decades and generations, I used it. Everything I read recommended to use a pacifier. And I've noticed that, okay, I use this. My mother used this. My daughter used this. And now my nephew and nieces are having babies. They're using this. And I thought, why did this not change? Everything else around the world changed. Houses, cars, clothing. But yet we were still using the same technology from, 40, 50 decades ago or years ago. I wanted something that the baby can interact with more. So that's why I came up with this. It's what they call a wearable teether. And the baby puts their hand inside, grabs that bar. So it helps with the grasp reflex. And then with the baby moving it to their mouth on their own, it helps with the hand to mouth coordination. That was my idea of making it as a father. I wanted something the baby can interact with. The reason it took off, though, is because, I make it to take the shape of the breast, the contour of the breast, so the baby can latch on really well. Because I always notice with pacifiers, there'd be a sore, there'd be a little wound there from the baby from being, the piece of plastic. So with mine, it's just nice silicone. It makes a nice seal. What I didn't realize is that it was going to give the breast a rest. I've heard so many mothers tell me the first 3 months, they're the pacifier, they're the teether. The baby just latched on. But with this, it gives the baby something they can interact with, helps all these motor skills. But the true benefit I found out is that it gives the breast a rest. And I think that's the best benefit for a new mother. She has so much going on and wants to enjoy the baby, without being in pain already and discomfort. So it's just, I think that's why it was the right tool at the right time. There was nothing new for so many decades for that first 3 month gap. And we were just ready for something that the baby could interact with and use and utilize all these skills.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that sounds brilliant and absolutely sounds like something that would have come out of the mind of a parent with real world, real lived experience, that knew that something had to be done outside of what was taking place and what was going on. It's funny how adversity will cause us to become so creative, right? And do things we probably didn't think we otherwise could do.
Absolutely. I think, everyone asked me what was my motivation for these ideas, and 100% was being a father. And I think being a single father gave me even more time. Her mother and I, we met over there. So her mother's Chinese, never left China. So my daughter's made in China. We like to tease her, but I when I fought for my daughter when we separated, she let me have my daughter. She knew I would be able to give her a better life. And so her mother never really tried to fight for custody. I was really fortunate for that part because the Chinese courts would have given her custody 100% if she had fought for it. But she just knew that me coming to America with her, she would have a better opportunity and a better future. So even now, I mean, I took her back to China last summer to visit her mother. So we still keep in touch. Where my factory is about 30 minutes from where her mother lives. So we keep in touch. Being on the other side of the world has been a blessing to me, though. I've had some friends who are single fathers who have baby mama issues, and I've never had to deal with too many of those, since we came back to the States.
Wow. Wow. I mean, so this means that you actually have been a single father from her young baby years. Yeah. So
Since she was about
that
one,
led
her mother and I just decided it wasn't, we weren't a good fit, but we both knew I was meant to be a father. And she kind of knew she wasn't meant to be a mom. I mean, she had a lot of goals and things she wanted to go out and achieve career wise. And I was in a position where I could take my daughter to work with me. I was the managing director of a golf company, and I had a little office with an apartment off to the side of it. In China, they take naps. So if you're the managing director, you normally have a little bedroom to the side of the office to take your nap. So I could
how
really
nice
just take
that
my
would
daughter
be.
to work with me very easily and conveniently. And my team helped me raise her. I'd take her to the office and they would be auntie and uncle. All my employees were auntie and uncle to her. My secretary from that company is my current business partner with Smiley Mia. And so we've been working together about 21 years now. We started out with golf
Wow.
for about 7, 8 years. Took a little gap when I came back to the States. And then when we started the teether company together, we've been doing it ever since. So we have a great history
Wow.
together.
Wow. So I really like that. I mean, it would be really nice to be able to take a nap in the middle of the workday. I mean, I don't know how that seems like. I guess I was doing some reading about some of that, and it seems like it tends to lead to better productivity in some ways. Just getting that little power nap somehow. Maybe it's something that maybe
It
we can
does.
push for.
I wouldn't always take advantage of it. I had a hard time sleeping in the day, but that time was when my friends in America had their evenings. So I was able to visit and chat with family, friends, and not interrupt my work. And so I would take advantage of it different than taking a nap. But I would look out
Wow.
my office and everybody would have their head on their desk taking a nap. It was kind of odd, it was different. Also, being the boss, sometimes we're taking customers out to lunch and you go to a foot massage after for your nap time. So we're
Oh
having
my
a
God.
meeting while we're getting reflexology. And it's
Oh,
I know that's
talk
why
about a real
I'm
nap.
much younger than I look. I feel much younger than my age because when I had my 30-year
Yeah.
reunion last summer,
Wow.
everybody
Yeah.
said, "What's your secret?" I was like, "Just get a foot massage every day at lunch." It's
Yeah.
like easy. Take a nap at lunch. Why not? So, but it was
That is
really
funny.
being a single father. It was nice to have that nap time. Gave me time to grab my daughter because she only went half a day when she was young. it gave me a chance to take off and grab her, come home, or get her to the nanny, or get her somewhere, without interrupting work a lot. And I think if
I
I didn't have
love
that,
it.
like in America, if I was having to leave to take my daughter here, pick her up there, I probably would get fired. You wouldn't be able to keep a
Wow.
job
Yeah.
if you're taking off all the time. So I
Yeah.
really think, Demetrius, I was really fortunate to be where I was when I was, to go through all of that.
Yeah.
Or even I
We're
was on the
talking
other side of the world from my friends and family. I had a different kind of support team over there that really
right.
helped me get through everything pretty conveniently and pretty comfortably.
I love it. We're talking about real time work life balance.
Absolutely. And some of
yeah.
the events I was doing, I was working for a golf company. Some of the things I was doing was taking my daughter to a golf tournament. So she was meeting some golf pros where she sees them on TV now, and I'm showing her a picture of her two or three, with her up on the guy's shoulder. So it's been an interesting life she's been able to live up until now, anyway. Now we'll see where she goes. I'm probably gonna lose my roommate this year. Uh, so it's that time no parent wants to think about when their little one's gonna
Yeah.
leave the nest. But she's out looking at
Right.
places this week.
Wow. Look, I've already been through it. You can survive it. Trust me. It's gonna be all right.
I was ready 3 years ago when we were still in Alaska. That
uh-huh.
I was gonna lose her, but we ended up both coming to Oregon at the same time. And so I got my roommate for 3 bonus years. I'm ahead of the game still, no matter what.
Come on.
I got bonus years.
yeah. So the interesting thing is, man, I've done some research and I was discussing it with some other guests. A lot of times when we talk about single parenthood, generally, of course, we're talking about single parenthood, and of course, in reality, there are more single moms than there are single fathers. Because so a lot of times we talk about single parenthood, we talk about single mothers, and a lot of times single fathers are not necessarily heavily involved in that particular conversation. But just doing some research, I'm finding out that I think one of the last numbers I saw was there's about 2.5 million single dads. That was just in the United States alone. 2.5 million, 2.5 million, a lot. Single dads, and they were single fathers to check this out. About 3.5 million children. So this means that these single dads are fathers to multiple children. And so a lot of times when we talk about single parenthood, we talk about how, it affects the mom and all the different things that goes into that. And we don't necessarily talk about some of those challenges that are there for the single fathers. Not to mention some of those challenges are the same, but then some of those challenges are different, especially in the case of a single father who's raising a daughter. Because at some point she gets to a certain point in her life, and changes and stuff like that happen. And you've got to kind of work through that and move through that. So literally just kind of talk to us about those younger years and some of those challenges that you had to face and really just kind of overcome. Thankfully, you had the community that was supporting and around you and everything like that. But I mean, talk to us a little bit about like how you had to really get into a particular mindset to really deal with some of those challenges as a single father.
It was a little different. Maybe I had a few extra hurdles the next father might have because I was over in China. I was in a communist country. Um, her mother and I, like I said, we mutually were trying to separate. The court denied us our divorce for about 2.5 years. So during that time, I couldn't get some documentation to leave the country because neither one of us had custody of her. So even both of us went to the court saying we were ready to separate and resolve the marriage, and they said no, go try to fix it. And I'm like, what? Yeah, and I kind of laughed at first, but then we just okay, we'll wait and try it again in a year, try it again in a year, and I understood I was in their land. I had to abide by their law, and so I just did. But her mom was having her own life. I had my own life, and but at the same time, I wanted to be able to bring my daughter over here to visit family eventually. I had some friends and family had come to China to visit, but eventually I wanted to get documentation to be able to leave. So there's some extra hurdles those first few years that you wouldn't have to overcome over here. I was having to go all over different parts of China to get one stamp put on something, then go over to Beijing, get another stamp put on something. And I'm still just a single American. I was still a kid. I was in my mid 20s and I was still learning the language. I couldn't read. I could only speak a little, but we didn't have the apps like we have now. I mean, I have 3 different apps on my phone now that can translate Mandarin, Cantonese, Kyrgyz, any of the Chinese dialects. It can translate like this. It'd be so convenient now to start a business and to live there now. But when I lived there, it was farmland everywhere. Third world country. They just opened the bamboo curtain. And I mean, I'd go a few months without seeing another foreigner. Whereas now you can't go 5 steps without seeing a foreigner. We're everywhere in China now. And like I said, to live there, it's just so convenient and easy now. So it's just different times. I think uh, the time that I went through her early years over there, it would be different if I had a child there now today. I see some TikTok that stream with their kids there now, and I'm thinking, oh, you don't know how good you have it. It's like the trips they're taking, a 20-minute trip. I took that same trip with my daughter. It was 6 hours. So I tell people I can't compare current China to the China that I lived in. It's just such a different in development. But that being said, it was great. The time I got to live there, people, that's what the China they saw in movies with the rice paddy fields, staggered out, and dirt roads everywhere, and not city life, no telephone poles and stuff. I got to see that part of China too still. Whereas now it's so modern and advanced everywhere. It's just amazing the transition I've seen during the times I've been over there.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So it's I mean, I just couldn't imagine like having to cross borders over and over and over again just to get a stamp.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody's like, well, that's a stamp. I mean, but to have actually lived it, which here's the other part of that. I imagine there's some cool stories that she gets to tell, that you get to tell, of those amazing experiences, those harrowing experiences of literally crossing, these borders to go and just simply make sure she had just like her basic, registration. You're talking about more than just food, clothing, and shelter. We're talking about literally, legalities and all those different things like that that probably could have put you guys in some compromising situations, right?
Because of the way I did it, I had her. She was a birth abroad, so she was always a U.S. citizen. We didn't try to get dual citizenship. China wouldn't recognize some aspects of it, so it wasn't worth the gamble to me. I just knew more doors would be open for her to get her U.S. passport from the get-go. So she's always been a birth abroad U.S. citizen. So even in the beginning, our visas were 30 to 60 days. So every 30 to 60 days, I had to pack up my daughter and go over to Hong Kong or Macau for the day, renew our visa, get a new visa, and come back over the border. It was difficult back then. Where now we have a 10-year multiple entry, stay for 160 days. It's just so much different comparisons. So the friends that I met back then, we're still very close now. All of our kids are in college now, but all of our kids were born there when we lived there. And so we have this little bond, and we call ourselves like the Dirty Dozen because there weren't many of us, and we all know the lifestyle back then compared to now. You see all these videos of how modern China is and how advanced they are, but we were there before they had all that. We were there when they were building all of that and putting all that into place. And it takes a certain type of person to have gone through that, I think. So we have a tight bond. But when I was starting this company, it gave me so many people I could call and pick their brain. And hey, where should I go for this? Or who should I use for packaging? If I got to import this, what should I do? I got to get this lab result. Where should I go? I had so many friends I could rely on that I might not have been able to been so successful right out the gate like we were if I hadn't had some of those soundboards I could use and rely on.
Yeah. So you literally took your adversity as a single father, with all of the challenges, every 30 days having to get a visa renewal, and and we're talking about traveling with a small child, of course, over successive years, she got older and older, but at least traveling with a small child, which means just like mom has to have a diaper bag, you have to have a diaper bag, and you got to change diapers and, all the kind of stuff like that. It's not like you necessarily always pass that duty off to others in that journey, and dealing with her, when she was ill, and, all the things that any parent would actually have to do. But you took that adversity and did not allow that to become an excuse, or, become something that prevented you from still building a successful business. And so I'm curious as to, I'm sure it had you had to kind of pull some things from your experience as a single parent, your experience as a single father, that helped shape your the way you approach business and the way you approach life, and those sort of things. Talk to us a little bit about that, how single fatherhood literally impacted and shaped the way that you make your approach to your business and to your life.
Well, I think that it was definitely inspiration because my daughter had these pacifiers, but we didn't have this clip thing yet, so it would fall on the ground a lot. And talking about those visa runs I had to make, that was when the original SARS and the bird flu, the swine flu, back in the early 2000s, that's when all that was happening. So it would be like the Wuhan flu, and being in Wuhan, that's where I was. I was in Guangdong and Dongguan, where all that happened, the swine flu and bird flu. All that happened where I live, but my Mandarin wasn't good enough yet, so I just didn't know the danger I was in. I just knew when we were making our visa run, there was no line at the customs. There was no line at any restaurant. And then I saw some people wearing some masks, and I thought, what's going on? And then I got to Hong Kong and got English news and saw what was going on. And I was like, oh, we shouldn't be here right now, probably. This is not a good place to be. So again, it just goes back to that adversity, I think. I learned to acclimate. Some of my friends call me a chameleon because some of them didn't know what nationality I was when they first met me. Because I'd be on the phone speaking Mandarin to the factory. Then I'd switch over, I'd be speaking Spanish to some cannery workers at the dock. And then so they just looked at me like, where are you? What are you? What nationality are you actually? And for about the first 4 years I was on the island in Alaska, everybody thought I was Chinese. And I'm not Chinese. I just lived there and I spoke it. My daughter was born there. So everybody just assumed I was too. But I said, I'm not Chinese, guys. I was born in Oregon. So I can fit in very well wherever I've lived. But I think that's just been to my benefit. Why would you not want to not fit in wherever you are? I mean, I don't understand why someone wants to go against the grain everywhere they go. I think they always have such a difficult journey in life. Whereas I've gone with the flow like a river, and it's been smooth sailing my whole life. I'll be 49 in a couple weeks, and I still feel like a spring chicken. I feel I'm ready for whatever next life's gonna bring me.
Wow. Happy early birthday.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I actually just turned 48.
Oh, heck yeah. See,
So
we're doing it right. You look young too. I mean,
thank
some
you.
of my
I hear
classmates
that.
did not age as well, and
I,
it showed.
I hear that quite often. I hear that quite often. So I'm understanding, of course, that one of those things that you have to develop, I'm sure, as a single dad, which probably serves you well in your business, and that is you have to develop something called resilience, right? Like you literally have to be intentional, about saying, I am not going to let the circumstance that I have before me be the reason why I can't. Like I'm literally going to find a way through every challenge, through every setback, through every mistake or error, or all the things, all the false starts. I'm literally going to find a way to bounce back, get back in the game, and continue forward, right? Because no doubt the demand that is put on you as a dad, as a father, the draw that you have, the passion and desire that you have, to see your child succeed, and make sure that they don't have, some of the same adversity and challenges that you have, is something that helps build resilience in you. So I'm sure many, 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 many times that muscle of resilience had to really be built over your experience.
I've been really blessed too, though, Demetrius. Like I said, every job that I've had, I've been able to bring my daughter. Even fishing, if we were gone more than 3 days or 4 days, the captain would let me bring my daughter. I was the engineer on the boat, so I had my own stateroom. I had my own room with a couple of bunks in it, and I could bring my daughter with me, and she could be safe in her own bunk. She could have her schoolwork done. All of our teachers, because we were a fishing community, they were used to that kind of situation and would have assignments ready to give them. And then when the boat parked, usually around October, Halloween, usually when the boat would park for the end of the year until mid-January, we would just leave. We would leave the island because it got so dark. We would go somewhere tropical or somewhere warm. But it would give my daughter a chance, instead of studying something in a book, let's go see it. So we'd go see a temple. We'd go see the biggest outdoor Buddha is in Hong Kong. We went to Malaysia. We went to a few different just beautiful places that I'd always wanted to go as well. But I wanted to share and share my daughter. So you were mentioning about my daughter being a fun person to have from her stories. Her teacher pulled me in when we first got back and said, "Your daughter has some great stories. Does she really go to these places?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "I hate you guys." she's Oh man, she goes, "All those places we're studying about," and she's telling me stories about being there. And that's what I wanted. I wanted her to understand that was time we have is limited, that we have at that age, and that I wanted to make sure that she knew that I took advantage of it and I appreciated that
Mhm.
time with her. So when she's
Yeah.
older with her kids, she can share that. "Oh yeah, my dad took me here and did this." That was my goal. But I was a little selfish too. I wanted to go some of those places, but I also was mainly I wanted to do for her a lot of the times. Like, okay, I want her to be able to look back and, okay, my dad took me here. We had a good memory here. We had this. That's priceless. That's something you can't really buy, and you can't take away either.
Yeah. You cannot put a price tag on great memories. I
No.
mean, that at the end of the day, when you think about it, life is a series of memories. I mean, some good, some bad, but and you're gonna have bad experiences along the way. So you really have to be intentional about making good experiences, you know. So I imagine she probably, when she was young, probably had no clue, right, or no idea, what it is that she was seeing, and the history behind it and all the stuff. And I'm sure that began to come into perspective, as she began to like go through classes in school, and then maybe even be able to be have an awareness of maybe how many of her classmates, and like you said, even her teachers had not ever even been to some of the places that she actually had an opportunity to go. So I mean, like, really, really, really big thing, building those
So,
memories, because
sometimes it
those things
backfired on
become
her
valuable.
though. Like one time we were watching a show with some of her friends, and somebody was eating a pigeon, and they were grossed out about it. And I just pulled a picture out. And she's not only eating a pigeon, she's chewing on the pigeon's head. And that was her favorite part. She loved to eat the brain out of the pigeon, and I thought it was weird, but her mom said that's the best part. Let her enjoy it. And
Uh-huh.
so I took a couple of pictures, and they were talking about things about a week later, and about eating a dog. And I pulled a picture out of her eating a dog leg, and I said, "Hey, we lived where it happens. It was nothing odd for them to be having that meal. They were taking us out to a fancy dinner one night, and that's one of the dishes." And so now whenever that happens, she looks at me. Am I okay? Did I have this, or have I not
Yeah.
had this? And so we try to be cautious of what we share in front of some of our friends now. But some
Yeah,
of that sometimes
yeah,
those experiences can backfire on her.
yeah. Those. I mean, that just it's just amazing, though. To really be able to say, all of those wonderful, wonderful places. So again, still, you're having to travel and you're having to move about, sometimes to take care of business, but then to go and just say, hey, we're not just going to read about this place. We're actually going to go and be in this place. I'm very curious, though. I gotta know, you know, names, they always come from somewhere. There's always a reason why something is named something or somebody is named something. And so I'm very curious as to what is the origin of the name Smiley Mia.
So, well, Mia's my little one, and my teachers growing up in school, and the first few jobs I've had over a dozen people in my life tell me if I could bottle my smile, I could be a millionaire. So they all crack up when they find out that I started a company with Smiley in the name. They say it couldn't be more fitting for anybody. And I'm the kind of guy that my senior year I was voted biggest brown noser because I said sir and ma'am to all my teachers, and they thought I was trying to suck up to them. But when I meet them now, 30 years later, and I'm still saying sir and ma'am, they know it's just me. You do it once or twice, it could be for sucking up, but when you do it your whole life, that's just who you are. So
Right.
some people, but that's opened so many doors for me. That Southern hospitality, has opened so many doors for me. But it's about common courtesy, it's being polite to people. So that's kind of where the name came from, is Smiley Mia. If you notice, Smiley doesn't have an E in it, and it's just for the logo to look clean and crisp. We tried a few different layouts, and when we took the E out, it just lined up so nice. I mean, with the way everything lined up nice for the logo look. And then for copyrights and trademarks, Smiley with E had been taken across the board. But without the E, it was wide open. We were able to get it across the board for websites, copyrights, trademarks. Everything was available with Smiley with no E. So again, right time, right place, right meant to be situation. I just feel this company really was meant to be from the get go.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I think it's funny.
I'm
I'm
thinking
pretty.
right now,
I'm
of
trying to
course.
research it. I think I'm the only commercial fisherman that's made baby toys. There was one other guy in Sweden that made like a wooden chew knot kind of thing 50 years ago, but it never. I mean, it was just something he did in a little village. But I think I'm the only fisherman that makes baby toys. And the joke in
Wow.
my industry is that captains are big babies. So I've been working with babies for a minute. You know,
Yeah, because in your journey, of course, you were, you know, commercial fishing in Alaska, right? For a little while, and then you literally went from commercial fishing in Alaska to founding a baby products company.
I
I
have some fishing
mean,
friends that talk to me now like, I can't believe you did it. We always have you talking about it. I'd be delivering fish or taking a pump over to a boat or giving them fresh water and, hey, you got a kid? Hey, let me give you one of these, and I give them a sample. But they, to see them really start to see it make some traction. Uh, Whereas now, if you type in best baby teether or best silicone teether, you're most likely going to see my penguin pop up. I mean, we've been on over 1 million baby registers now, and it's been a really pretty great product. There's a lot of knockoffs and a lot of versions. Like, so this is mine, and this is a knockoff. So there are some literal knockoffs you might see for a couple of dollars, but they're cheap. I mean, the handle breaks off. It's just a cheap version. Nothing you'd want to give your baby to
wow,
put in their mouth, but they are out there now. So I tell
wow.
parents, just read reviews. Uh, Sometimes just a thumbnail is not enough to decide what you're going to put in your baby's mouth. So that's been another
Yeah,
hurdle
well,
that we've had to overcome after becoming so popular, are the knockoffs and the copycats and that type of thing entering the market.
wow. Yeah, so what I mean, in some ways it's complimentary. It means you did something phenomenal that somebody else wants to try to copy off of,
Mia
to
told
try
me,
to
she goes,
capitalize
Dad,
on
they
it.
don't copy crap. I said, hey, okay, true that.
That's a good one.
Yeah, yeah.
That is a real good one. I'm really thinking right now about um, perhaps, watching this podcast, perhaps there are some single dads, that are, facing some challenges. And looking at some things. You're on the other side, like of all of those things that you had to walk through in all those years of raising your daughter as a single dad. And maybe perhaps some of them, maybe have brilliant ideas that, maybe they've come up with. And maybe you're trying to find the answers and figure out like maybe how they get started, what direction should they go? Should they really do it? Is it really gonna, if they pursue it, their dream, is it gonna take away from what they're doing, with their child? I mean, like all the things and really are trying to navigate that space. What would you say to them, to a single father that may be in that particular situation?
I would say give it a shot because the the tools at your hands now that you can have at your fingertips are so endless and so much access that you have right here. Whereas if I can start this without Starlink, without any AI, with very limited Wi-Fi, I'd be out at sea 280 days of the year from a remote island in Alaska. I can start this. There's no excuse, guys. Get off your butt. And I don't mean butt, your buttocks. I mean your butt. Like I do this, but I got this, or but I had this, or but I got to do this first. Put those butts aside. Get off those butts and just do it. Give it a
Mm,
shot. If I had the
yeah.
access I had now, like if I had Starlink on the fishing boat I had, I could have been so much more advanced faster than I did. If I had any kind of cell phone more than an hour away from land, I would have been much more at a more advantage for my benefit. So I did it with all those hurdles. There's no excuse now. With Starlink, you can have Wi-Fi on the mountaintop, anywhere. You can have Wi-Fi access with good signal like this even. So there's really no excuse anymore. With all the platforms that help entrepreneurs get your idea from a concept to paper, to get in a sample, to get in a patent, to give and selling your idea to someone, to get into lawyers involved for the selling process. From everything, they can walk you through all the steps now. There's so many benefits now that you can take advantage of and different platforms that help you with that. They get a little cut of it, but hey, it's better than not having the idea come to fruition.
Hello. Hello. And I'm sure along the way, which just may even speak to some of the fathers that are too. I'm sure along the way there was some mistakes that you made, in this process, and that you really had to kind of overcome and bounce back from. Speak to us a little bit about like overcoming those mistakes.
So our first biggest hurdle that we had, and this is a big oops because with our industry, gender in America, gender is very color based. So boys blue, girls pink. It's very, very standard in our culture. Whereas in Europe, you'll see a boy wearing pink, you'll see a girl wearing blue. It's very normal in other countries, other cultures. But for some reason in America, we're very specific on gender being boy or girl, gender reveal parties, all this stuff. So our first big order to Amazon's warehouse, our employees in the China side got the SKUs mixed up and sent this as this SKU and this is this SKU. So we're sending our first large order there and they're all wrong. So we're getting complaint after complaint after complaint. Ordered blue got pink, ordered pink got blue, and we're getting 1 star, 2 stars. It was just a nightmare. The worst thing a startup company could have happen. And the only thing I could do is send it all to me. I send it all to my house and I hand changed every SKU, swapped them, put a sticker on each one, packed them back up and sent them back. But the damage had been done. It took us about a year and a half to overcome that. All those bad reviews to get our good reviews back up. But after that year and a half, we shot up. I mean, if we hadn't had that little hiccup, we probably would have been much more advanced a lot sooner than we had been even. So I tell people it's kind of like when you see a race and the runner stumbles at the beginning, but then catches up and then wins the race. It was kind of like that. We had a little stumble right out the gate. We kept going at it. We got up, dusted off, and it started going, and our momentum caught up and into the race ahead. So, but that was a big hurt. I mean, that was a big gamble that we might not have recovered from if we just gave up. We had to stick to our guns. We knew we had a great product. We just weren't going to let that little hiccup deter us from continuing and pushing forward. It also let us know that we couldn't rely on these 2 colors. Now we offer 7 colors to give a more of a wide spectrum of options. Uh, and the palettes we use, we put a lot of thought in behind that. With so many variations of shades, you wouldn't think when you're looking at a room of colors one day and you see 500 shades of blue that all look so similar to this, but they're all slightly different. But there's a lot of thought that goes behind that type of thing, even that sometimes you don't realize when you see it on the shelf. All the months of creativity, design, sample approval, revamp, make it again, give it to a test group to try, then go into mass production, and then ship it. So there's so many steps that people don't realize that happens before it makes it to a shelf and gets to the baby's hands. So yeah, to see this not only get into the baby's hands, just all from a few drawings one night with some friends. We were thinking about, we wanted to go with an animal theme, and to emphasize being a single father, we went with the penguin because in the penguin species, the male penguin raises the baby by himself. The mother lays the egg and bounces. The father sits on the egg, hatches the egg, raises the baby up. And it just really fit my story. The mom helped me lay the egg and then she bounced. I raised it, so that's why we went with the penguin from the get-go. And it just, kind of like I said earlier, it just was really magical how everything fell into place. And timing, everything just really, really was a great way for this kind of company to start after that kind of a hiccup.
I mean, what a neat story. What a neat story. I mean, literally through, setbacks, all the things. Of course, again, being surrounded and of course being a lot of times in the right place at the right time does make a difference. But I mean, I think you said it in your profile that I was reading, like your story is anything but ordinary. I mean, just anything but ordinary. I mean, it sounds like what would make a really good Netflix film of some sort.
My family has a saying, you got to be Paul. Because every time I come home with another story or adventure, they're like, you got to be Paul to have this happen. There's so many random things that happened in my life. But, Demetrius, I just really feel being a good person and putting positive vibes out, it comes back to you. I've always been a positive person from the get-go. And I think moving around a lot when I was younger, we moved from West to East Coast when I was 9. We moved from Oregon down to Atlanta for about 6 years, and then we moved back to Oregon. But having that experience at a young age of moving such a different environment, it really helped me become more of a free spirit, I think, and more of an accepting spirit. So when I moved to other countries, here my colleagues that were with me on the same trips were so negative and like, oh, I don't want to be here, I want to be home. I was more like, I can't believe we get to be here. This is amazing, and our days off, they're sitting in their hotel watching English TV and American movie, and I'm out on the streets eating with the locals, trying to learn the language. And so I think it's just about attitude of how you take what life deals you. And I've just always tried to go with it. Like we said earlier, go with the flow and just let nature take me where it takes me and not go against the grain. And I think that's really been such an interesting way for me to have lived my life because of what it's provided.
Wow. Wow. So I know you're all over social media, different spaces that we can find you, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I'm sure you're all over those spaces. And of course, I'm sure the handle is at Smiley Media Smiley Media, I say media, of some sort. But then, of course, there's a website.
That's a good idea, actually. I might have to use that.
There you go.
Cut you in, Demetrius. I'll cut you in. If we use Smiley Media, I'll cut you in.
Let's do it. Let's do it. You know how to reach me. Let's do it. Smiley Media. Yeah, look at that. You heard it here first, folks.
It's on digital. We got it on lock.
Man, so but I'm sure there's a website. Where's the website? Where can we find it? What can we find on there?
Yeah, SmileyMia.com, and
But
you'll see some of the videos of me doing factory tour. I grew up Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. I was a Rogers kid, and I always would be so fascinated with those factory tours. He'd take you on the tour of all those factories. So I wanted to kind of give that vibe when I went over to the factory. I asked permission to bring a camera crew in. And they welcomed it very much so, and so I have some neat videos of me making some of my teether and how they're made and how they're tested. I went to the lab report and said the same thing. I want to show my customers how safe my product is. Can I show them some of the tests you do? And they were welcoming. So I set up some cameras. You get to see some of the tests that the teethers go through. There's one that does this 1,000 times, just to make sure that it's durable, and a certain pound of pressure. But we'll set it and then we'll go have lunch and come back and check on it and come back and check on it. But I want the parents to be reassured they're getting a safe product for their baby. And we're a very transparent company. That's why I started this, to let them know we're making a safer product that the parent doesn't have to worry. And that's what I love now, 8 or 9 years deep. And that's what we're known for. We're known as a safe, reliable, customer-based brand. Because we'll take whatever customer input we get and we'll make a change. We've made some major changes on a few of our teethers just on parental input we got. And some of them weren't cheap changes. I mean, but we agreed with what the input we were getting. And I thought, okay, yeah, that's if a couple parents are telling us this, we need to address it. And that's how we've been from day one. And I think parents can tell. They can tell when a brand is product based or when it's the care based and from the heart of a parent. I do these trade shows all over the country, all over the world. And there's a certain breed of person because we all get along so well. And the one thing in common is we always have smiles on our face. You don't go to a baby convention with, you're not going to see that at a baby convention. We all have smiles and our personalities are pretty outgoing and chipper. And who wouldn't want to be around that all day? It's just a fun environment to be in.
yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that. So, guys, you heard it. www.smileymia.com. So you can go over there, dads, go over there, do a little shopping, share this with some moms that that they could benefit from the products and everything that's going on. Shows the quality. Sounds like, man, at some point, we're gonna be seeing you like on a Netflix documentary of some sort, telling your story.
Hopefully not for
about
murder or something. He's the teether guy that killed that. I think my story, like you said, it's rare and unique. And I know some of the things I was doing, I'm the only one that was doing that. So it is pretty fun to be able to have a platform like this. So thanks again for having me on here to be able to share my
Listen,
story.
man, this has been so much fun. I imagine there's probably stories for days. Maybe you should put it in a memoir of some sort, and like I said, maybe we'll see that Netflix documentary or Amazon Prime documentary or Apple TV. Who knows?
I'll even do Paramount.
That will
I'll be okay with Paramount.
Paramount is
be
fine
Paramount
too.
Plus. It's got to be Paramount Plus.
That'd be fine too, man. But listen, what a great story. What a great time, really, just kind of sharing your story. With about how you just kind of took that challenge that you had and how, I mean, you could have made a choice to do something different, and say, I've got things to do. I've got a career to see to. I've got a business to build and all the things. But you actually did that alongside raising your daughter. And I am sure that she is 100% grateful for the intentional sacrifice that you made. One of the things we talk about here a lot on the podcast, and there's kind of a workshop that I like doing with dads called Present Not Perfect. And that is a reality that my children are going to take me in the imperfections that I have. I do not have to be perfect in order to be present. And so I'm sure she appreciated your presence in her life and that you were there with her to help her make those wonderful memories. And then you guys got a great story to be able to tell, that you developed a great product and you took your challenge and made something that would be beneficial to help others. So listen, any dads that are out there, that may be single dads out there that may be experiencing challenges and things that you have to overcome, I hope that you can take something from these podcasts we're talking with these single dads about. and just really be able to build and be inspired. I mean, this is such an inspiring story that you were able to do what you did in the midst of those circumstances that you had. So I appreciate you for being on today, man. Y'all just let's appreciate my friend Paul Moore for coming on the podcast and being with us. He's over there on the West Coast, which is still probably warm, but a little bit cooler, I'm sure, than where I am. We get as hot as the Saharan desert, I'm told sometimes. But listen, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a part. And all of you all who are watching us and coming on to the podcast, guys, let's not forget, we always say, I am a good man doing the best I can, and I'm working to make my best better. So I hope that you're going to choose to be better tomorrow than you were today. Thank you so much for watching the Facts and Fatherhood podcast. We will see you the next time.